Shawn Arthur was a college wrestling champ whose true passions were football and family.
Bob, tell me about Shawn.
Shawn kind of struggled in school, doing his schoolwork, but he worked extra hard to succeed. Shawn was an individual that always had a great smile. Shawn never missed a card at Christmas time or Mother's Day, cards. I mean, just never did.
When Shawn was offered a temp assignment on a flood project in the New Orleans area, he dived right in. He also fell head over heels in love with the local woman and got engaged. Sadly, it didn't last long, and a broken-hearted Shawn moved into this gated apartment complex in Mattera.
They were engaged. Unfortunately, it didn't work out.
Did you have reservations about the engagement?
No, I mean, we taught our boys right from wrong, and, it was up, or any decisions they made about life is up to them.
Shawn's father, Bob, says after the breakup, Shawn had no reason to stay in New Orleans and planned to return home to Kansas City. But first, he had to finish his job.
Shawn was working way over 100 and some hours every 2 weeks. And he had told his mother he was thrilled because he was going to have his first weekend off in a long, long time.
It was Friday night, and Shawn told his dad he was looking forward to having a little fun. Tragically, it was the last time Bob would ever talk to his son.
When did you realize that something was wrong?
Shawn is very punctual. Where I had made arrangements for Shawn to speak with an attorney the Saturday morning, to see about getting out of his lease. He said that he would call around 10:30 in the morning. That call never came.
Bob says he burned up the cell towers calling Shawn's phone. Finally, someone answered, and it wasn't Shawn.
The guy said that he found Shawn's phone in one of the local cemeteries. And based on that phone call, I called the sheriff's department and asked them to do a wellness check.
A Jefferson Parish Sheriff's deputy finds Shawn's door unlocked. According to the deputy's report, he sees Shawn's dead body, naked from the waist down, lying on this air mattress with no visible signs of trauma. On the floor, there's a shot glass, an empty beer bottle, and an empty capsule casing. More bottles in the trash, and white powder on a table. In the bathroom, he photographs an empty whiskey bottle and takes it to the lab for analysis. The deputy says the circumstances he observed appeared to be unusual because the kitchen cabinets were open and there was minimal furniture in the apartment. He also couldn't find Shawn's wallet, 2 cell phones, and his truck, so he called in the homicide detectives. They conducted a thorough investigation, including getting the phone companies to ping Shawn's cell phone. Bob then gets the phone call that would shatter his life forever.
How did that hit you, that phone call?
How would it hit anyone? It was tough, but anyhow, we did what we had to do.
Now Bob, a retired insurance investigator, heads to Louisiana with his wife Linda. He snaps his own pictures inside Shawn's apartment, and it appears to be ransacked. He finds even more empty capsules and a spot of blood on the molding. Bob and Linda meet Jefferson Parish Sheriff's detectives and learn the shocking details.
Just right off the bat, they indicated that Shawn was having a party, a large party. A lot of alcohol was apparent, and that drugs were apparent. And of course, we immediately said, no, this can't be. That's not our son.
That wasn't like him?
No.
To be consuming copious amounts of alcohol or using drugs?
No. Shawn was definitely not a heavy drinker, and Shawn definitely was not a drug user. Did not use drugs, period.
But the coroner's report tells a conflicting tale. The autopsy states Shawn died from acute hemorrhagic pancreatitis in association with ethanol use. In other words, alcohol poisoning. The coroner determines his death was an accident, and after a lengthy investigation of the forensic analysis, sheriff's investigators agree. But despite all the evidence, Huffington Post crime reporter David Lohr says something doesn't add up.
I took a look at the case, and just reading the police report alone, it just didn't make sense.
What jumped out at you?
Here you had a guy who was deceased, found in his apartment. they were calling it accidental, but then, you know, you have where there's items were stolen from his apartment.
But investigators found no compelling evidence of theft, even though the engagement ring Shawn's ex-fiancée had recently returned to him was missing, as well as his wallet and credit cards.
The detective has video from a Walmart and a convenience store showing 3 black males and a female using his debit card.
And surveillance images from the apartment show someone driving Shawn's truck out of the front gate at 4:13 a.m. The truck was eventually found some 2 months later on a street nowhere near Shawn's apartment.
And also there were 2,500 miles on that vehicle that we're aware of.
2,500 miles in addition.
In addition to what was on there.
So your son turns up dead, and someone other than your son is using his vehicle.
Apparently so.
But the report from the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office determined Shawn's death was not a result of foul play and stated this investigation is closed. Bob's not convinced, so he hires a series of private investigators, including Jane Holmes, to help him piece the puzzle together.
Nothing added up as an accidental death because you've got empty pills, his truck is missing, his wallet is missing, his card is being used at Walmart. This was not an accidental death.
Results come back from that whiskey bottle the deputy found in the bathroom. The fingerprints are traced back to this woman. She goes by the name Desiree. Cops say he found her that Friday night on a dating app.
This is a lady who had a, you know, pretty long history with law enforcement.
She's not a choir girl.
No, definitely not choir girl.
Choir girls definitely don't dress like this. Investigators soon learned that Desiree is also known as Jasmine, Destiny, and Mary Jane. But New Orleans cops know her by her legal name, Dominique Berry. And you probably won't see this official police photo on her dating profile. Up next, why Shawn's cause of death is no longer considered an accident.
And they decide to come back with undetermined.
Could he be part of a nationwide crime spree targeting unsuspecting men?
There's probably up to 100 victims.
Plus, the PI tracks down Dominique, aka Desiree, and she spills her guts.
She told me how they would lure their victims.
They also looked at the last phone calls that were made from Shawn's phone, and those came back to a lady named Jasmine, which they come to find out was actually an alias used by Dominique.